What a juxtaposition from an amazing engineering, heroic rescue feat yesterday, and then the folks in this country, I guess egged on by one of our governors, who want to destroy the property of the guy who made that rocket go up and come back down.
First of all, like most people that are watching both sides of this, I would like to see the law upheld. Arson is a crime. You should go to jail for that. There's cameras all over those lots. The cars themselves have cameras that record what happens around them. And I think they should be persecuted relentlessly for what they're doing, because loss of property is one of the laws we support in our democracy. It doesn't matter what party you're on. And I thought, you know, most people would look at that and say, I'm not okay with it. Democrats own these cars, Republicans own these cars. These are criminals. They should go to jail, number one. Is he a hero? Well, apparently the government couldn't get them back with all the money they gave Boeing. My tax dollars went to Boeing. I didn't want to do that. They failed at the mission, and a private company happens to be founded by Elon Musk was successful. That's a fact, too. I think we should keep going with Elon because he actually has executional skills while others don't. And if I were the CEO of Boeing, I would put my head in shame today, because I could not deliver, and my bird is still on the ground, and his bird is flying back and forth. Also a fact. I think everybody should just get over it and realize what's really going on here. This guy is an American hero. He's an incredible entrepreneur, great executional skills, and everybody burns his cars. I'd like to see them in prison as terrorists.
Well, Dagan, let me go to you on that, because I think the domestic terrorism question is obviously been open. Attorney General Pam Bondi said, this is domestic terrorism. We're going to go after them for that. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. I mean, there are a number of different, and I'll defer to Jackie, but there are a number of different statutes that they can use. They can treat this as domestic terrorism, but I would also like to see the FBI and Justice Department track where the money is coming from to fund these attacks. And if they are coordinated in any way and funded from one or two large sources, you are potentially looking at RICO charges, so under racketeering, the racketeering statutes. And I know arson is under one of those. And when you look at federal charges, they are incredibly severe. And when you get sentenced to federal prison, you go away and you serve virtually the entire sentence. There is little leniency, and there is no parole. In essence, you serve the whole sentence. But the idea that these, I always say, dangerous morons will moron dangerously, and look no further than Tim Walz. But the idea that these people are celebrating the attacks and the stock market valuation decline, one of America's greatest companies, it really exemplifies what they're about. They're not about ideology, because Tesla has done more to further the goal of fighting climate change than any company. It is about just a bunch of craven ciphers who worship at the altar of self and accumulation of power. And I'd just like, and I'm teeing up Jackie, I'd like somebody to ask Mark Kelly, a veteran and former astronaut, if you were you sold your Tesla and made the break. Oh, I bought this giant Chevy. If you were stuck up there, would you turn down a ride on SpaceX? Just curious about that, you bloviating fool.
It's a great question, and I love the soundbite that we bumped in on, the Hannity soundbite with Elon Musk, where Elon says, we had the capability to go up and rescue these people way sooner. We offered that to the previous administration, and they said no. To me, that means not only was this political activism on their part, but those people became political pawns. They became political prisoners in space, which is absolutely mind-boggling. Now, there is a corollary theory to this, and Mark Kelly's brother, Scott, who is also a retired astronaut, was on with Brett last night. This is what the left is saying to counter what Elon Musk is saying, that we could have gone up there to get them sooner.
They have had a spacecraft up there since September that was going to bring them home. They've always had a ride home, and the decision to keep them up there had nothing to do with politics. It was just the fact that you need crew members to operate the space station, and they were the two that were there, and you had to send up a vehicle with 2 empty seats. So the safest thing to do was to just leave them there.
Okay, so I just want to get this straight. They always had a ride home, but you needed more crew members to operate the space station, so they couldn't come home. And also, they were the only two there, so you had to send up another vehicle with 2 empty seats. So they didn't have a ride home, and that's why they didn't come home. And had Elon sent his spaceship a little sooner, they would have been here. These people are going to have an impact as a result of this physically, probably for the rest of their lives. And the fact that, you know, we're playing politics with people's lives, or we're playing politics with companies and allowing laws to be, you know, just completely ignored about destruction of property and the terrorism and all that it's wild. But that's what the left does when the narrative doesn't work for them.
Well, Taylor, you know, Dagan said something that caught my attention. It's actually, with these folks, it's not even about ideology. It's not like there are ideas that are motivating the people on the left who are burning down Tesla stuff and Musk stuff, or maybe even the folks involved in the decision about when the astronauts come home. It's sort of worse than that. It's like a hatred. It's a visceral, emotional reaction against. And I come to you on this because you're the person who gives me the other side of that, which is the emotional, visceral, like, love of the heroism that's happening in this moment.
So this is what I can't figure out. The left used to be peaceful, and now they're advocating for violent protests. This was the party that used to want to avoid war, and now they're advocating burning things down because my toddler does that, threatens to burn things down when she doesn't get her way, except that we're 30, 40, 50-year-olds and not 2-year-olds.
That's pretty advanced for a toddler to
You
burn
know what
things
I
down.
mean,
Okay.
right? Not threatening to burn things down, but making threats in general. To celebrate the decline of a stock price, I think the left 20 years ago was pro-capitalism. I would never root for the price of a stock to decline unless the fundamentals tell you that it should go down. You don't do it because you happen to not like the CEO. Okay, I will not get emotional, but there is nothing more emotional than when that capsule hits splashdown and you hear those words from everyone at SpaceX, not Boeing, not NASA, not the US government, from everyone at SpaceX, welcome home. That should be the global unifying message of all of this, that he managed to do something that no one else right now can do. Jeff Bezos is a little far behind, but he's not there. Virgin Galactic's a little far behind, but he's not there. So he literally, Elon Musk, is the only one who can do it. And I love this story. I love the splashdown. I think it's an incredible moment for innovators and dreamers all over the world.
There were some dolphins to welcome them?
There were dolphins welcoming home. I think the control room looks exactly like the control room of our producers. You see them back there with all over the computers. It's incredible.
Can I just make one comment also? This isn't the first time we've heard an emotional welcome home like that. This is one example of it, but I believe it was when Rick Grinnell went down to get the captives in Venezuela, where he said, I'm a diplomat, I'm paraphrasing, and I'm here to take you home.
Yes.
We're seeing this happen in so many different instances.
Well, it's a great public-private collaboration that we should be celebrating. This Elon burn the car stuff, this is direct derivative of Doge, which does not stop. I mean, he's agnostic to all this criticism because he keeps publishing all the waste every day, and people are freaking out about it. While they shouldn't be, it's their tax dollars being spent in nefarious ways in some cases and wasteful in others. It's really hard to understand the psyche here and how this got politicized. Hi, I'm cutting waste out of your government. I don't care what party you're involved with. I'm saving your family money. I just saved people from outer space, and you want to burn my company to the ground? I think there's a little readjustment necessary here. And the way to get it going is let's get some images of these people who did these crimes on their way to prison for a long time. Let's bring that back. That's what we do in our society. We punish criminals that steal and burn, and they got to go to jail. I mean, that's it.
Well, the good news is the astronauts came home, and more of the bad guys are going to jail, and that's the way it should be.
Can I just add, though, I'm a child of the space race. I was born the year that we landed on the moon. And so my childhood was filled with watching these splashdowns. And it was something that was celebrated and actually gave birth to the entrepreneurs and geniuses.
Yeah.
And who dreamed big and made those dreams come true, whether it's an Elon Musk, a Jeff Bezos. I spent a decade of my childhood launching SD's rockets. And you can't even quantify how valuable the space program and being back in the driver's seat is in terms of inspiration, but also in fighting China. Because somebody said with Taylor yesterday, whoever wins space controls Earth.
True.